And the first thing we start off with, and I think it's a great tradition we have in Australia, is welcome to country. So Aunty Ann Weldon is here to welcome us to country, to her country, I must say. Okay. Take it away.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I rushed like a madman to get here this morning. I sat behind a garbage truck and then more. It was painful, but never mind. People have got to do their job, you know. They should tell me about it, or I should can't do it. Firstly, I need to make you aware that I am a Wiradjuri Koori Balan, and I actually belong to the Clear River people. And the Clear River is one of the three, well, many rivers in Wiradjuri country, but the three mighty rivers that certainly describes, and Wiradjuri means three rivers people. So the three main rivers is the Murrumbidgee, the Clear, which has been renamed the Lachlan, and the Womble, which has been renamed the Macquarie. And I am a board member of Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council and an elder of New South Wales Local Aboriginal Land Council and Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council. And Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council's representative here this morning. Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council is the cultural authority and custodian of culture, heritage, land and waterways in this particular part of the Eora country. And I stand proud, you know, as a Wiradjuri Koori Balan, you know, a First Nations person before you all this morning. I acknowledge all other Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal brothers and sisters in the room as you have travelled near and far to get here. And I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather, which is the Eora Nation and the Gadigal clan, for the Gadigal clan were one of 29 clan groups of the mighty Eora Nation. And I acknowledge and pay my respects to all of the loved ones that have passed over of the Eora and Gadigal people. And I respect their identity and their spiritual ancestors, for they shall always remain within their lands, our Mother Earth. For my people, we have been a part of this land that stretches back through tens and thousands of years and hundreds of generations. For Aboriginal nations of Australia, we're one of the longest unbroken threads of human culture on the planet. And there are many Aboriginal nations or tribes, and we're all bound by the same unifying elements of culture. We have one of the world's oldest religious systems, and there are many different language groups. But my people certainly look with pride upon the depth and the richness of our culture, and we adhere to our spiritual commitment to the land and to each other. For it is through fortitude, courage and wisdom that we have survived the worst of times, I hope, and we will continue to tend our sacred grounds for the millennium to come. And our practices of culture and language has been handed down to hundreds and hundreds of generations. And as I speak, I've certainly handed my culture and heritage on to my children, and I've got 11 grandchildren and many grandnieces and nephews as well. For I learnt my Wiradjuri culture and traditions by the teachings and by listening to my elders. For my elders informed the truth from their lifelong experiences, and the facts are seen through their eyes. Our ancestors left us a legacy that gave us the strength to continue when all seems lost, to stay strong, and to know that there are many ways to achieve what we believe in, and that is a true and just outcome. They left us a legacy of love and the ability to find laughter in the worst of times. The saddest stories of heartbreak spoken in the whispers that were followed by a story that joined us together in laughter. And this is how our history is passed down. This is how it has been passed down and will continue to be passed down. And this is how our children and my grandchildren in these times know of the places that existed generations before them, handed down from our keepers of knowledge and wisdom, and I call them our strong, clever ones. Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council certainly promotes a vision of working together as one community to achieve as one community. And one of the greatest things about being Australian is that is the story of our country. You know, be it great or sad, but it is a great story, no doubt. And it is remarkable. And the long stories of our Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal heritage is certainly one of endurance, because, you know, other poor people that came out here way back in 1788, you know, 230 years ago, 230, you go back, and some of that history is certainly one that was sad and tragic. And since 1788, many people have come to Australia and have called this great place and land their home. And one of those, and of those that come, that make Australia their home, and many of those migrants still talk fondly of their old country, but we Aboriginal people talk of our country, Aboriginal country. We are the first Australians, and we ask that all old and new arrivals to our country from our many nations across the ocean certainly respect and care for our land and our environment. And Lord knows that certainly needs to happen in this country, because we have survived. We're all people that we have survived. We live here, and we certainly want to. I believe that we all need to remain strong, you know, and care for and protect what we do have. And I share with you as a Wiradjuri Kuri Balang my history. It's certainly a story of daring, of courage, of originality and of resourcefulness. And when I was born, I wasn't even classified as a human being of my country. We didn't have any rights whatsoever. We weren't even classified as, we weren't counted in the Australian census. So, you know, that changed after 1967. And when my mother gave birth to me, it was in a segregated section of Cowra District Hospital, which is in the heart of Wiradjuri country, the other side of Bathurst. And as a Wiradjuri Kuri Balang, and I need to explain to you what Wiradjuri is, of course, and I didn't. That's a major tribe, and our boundary started at the foot of the Blue Mountains. You know, one of the big land base and a large tribe of Aboriginal people here in New South Wales. Kuri, of course, is our word for Aboriginal, and Balang is warm. But I would like you all to celebrate and you know, be proud and stand with us, to walk beside us. Please don't walk ahead of us, and allow Aboriginal people to share the wealth of our country. And he's doing this with us instead of making decisions for us that will allow us to create our own pathways and reach our own full potential. Metro's boundaries actually spans, Metropolitan Land Council boundary spans from the Hawkesbury River to the north, the Nepean to the west, and the Georges River to the south. So as an elder of New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council, and as a board member of Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council, and with their permission, it is with honour that I welcome you all here this morning to the land of the mighty Eora Nation. And I also take this opportunity to thank UTS, you know, for getting me along here to conduct the Welcome to Country. It certainly is an honour and a pleasure at your smart and sustainable built environment. No doubt your brilliant minds will be innovative and you know, come up with other measures and ideas. And I actually love, you know, that environmentally friendly ideas that certainly are able to sustain the shocking conditions that no doubt are ahead of us. And I got the pleasure of going to the demonstration the other day in Martin Place with like 5,000 school kids, and you know, like those foolish politicians better listen, you know. And it was just so empowering for those children. I mean, they're our leaders, they're our future leaders, and I think, you know, we're going to be in safe hands if that mobilisation certainly spreads across this country. So, you know, thank you for allowing me to come here to do this morning. I did rush. I am tired. It is that time of the year we're all winding down and can't wait, you know, for that break. And my grandchildren certainly keep me on my toes, although they're the reason why I get out of bed every morning. But, you know, thank you once again. There's one thing that I do ask when I get to do welcomes, and that's for each and every one of us, just throughout the day, to remember our loved ones that have passed over before us, the incredible giants that have allowed each and every one of us to stand on their shoulders, the beautiful people sitting beside you now, but more importantly, those precious, gorgeous ones that follow in our footsteps. So may my people spirit walk and guide all of us as we continue on that journey together, and let that journey be one where we can all certainly form solid, meaningful partnerships with Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council or other groups to certainly collectively address issues that impact on all peoples within our respective communities. So once again, welcome to the land of the Eora Nation. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You have a one.
All right. Thank you, Anne. It was fantastic to hear you talk, and tells us a lot about, I think, important stuff that we sometimes forget about, and we shouldn't. So that is also the reason why we have tried to organize a lot of things for you that relate back to the origins of the country. My name is Roggema, for the ones that I didn't meet yesterday. You will probably expect that I am who I am. And I would just want to welcome you. You were probably thinking of coming to Australia, but as you heard, you were coming to the Eora Nation. And this is how the people lived in the early days. Eora Nation is now part of Sydney. So to put it on a map, there's other countries, so to say, Aboriginal countries, around and in the vicinity of Sydney. And also, of course, welcome to Sydney. Most of you flew in from far away. Many of you came from close by, but all welcome today. And it's a very special day. You probably don't know that, but it's a very special day because today is Sinterklaas. And this is a bit of a strange story. It is today, a celebration today. All the kids in the Netherlands get presents and stuff. But at the same time, there is a huge discussion going on whether we should celebrate it in the way that we do. And that relates back, I think, to the way we treat people, the way we pay respect to people. And that, in my opinion, relates back directly to paying respect to the people that lived here for 40,000 years. So that relationship, I think, is important, and we shouldn't forget. For those of you who are interested, and I not only recommend, I think if you're a little bit interested, you should actually read this book of Bruce Pesco, because he's explaining how Aboriginal people lived for all those years, but also he highlights new insights about the relationship of people living originally in this country and their relationship with the country. So I think it's a must read, actually, because it is about collaboration. Stuart, you're not leaving, are you? Stay. It's about sharing the land. It's not about ownership of the land, and that inherently relates back for me to planning that is on the long term and not on the short term, as many people around the world with a more or less Western view do. So the values that we talk about, and I'd like to share those in the conference today and tomorrow. That is long-term benefits are collective, and there's not ownership, there's no private ownership that much as we experience a lot. It's about holistic systems thinking. It's not about silos and separated interest. The land is nature and nature is human, instead of that humans rule over the country. And it's about collaboration versus ownership. And that's what I think is important to share when we come together and talk about smart and sustainable built environments. It's not only about technological innovations that we can start measuring how sustainable a certain building or an area is. It's about the underlying sustainability that we need to talk about. The relationship with our environment, our resources, the land we live on, and in a broader sense, the earth. As a holistic principle, in not only involving human as primate, but involving all organisms and materials. And in that sense, it's not about how we plan or design or build, it's about how we create a social system that is sustainable. Again, sharing, collaborating, and overcoming time dimensions between, we are looking back in history and we say it's 200 years ago, that's a long time ago. Well, we talk about 40, maybe even longer, 1,000 years ago. So when we share, everyone will win on the long term. That's what I firmly believe in. And that's what we're going to experience in this program. I think we have an interesting program. I hope you enjoy it. As far as I'm concerned, we had a good start yesterday evening already. And we've got plenty of great speakers that are there for all of us. Basically, we've got two streams in this room. We will talk focusing on planning and design, larger scale. A smaller scale, more technologically oriented, is in the other room in the front. Some other issues, we will publish a lot of publications out of this conference. Springer has offered us to publish a book with all your papers. The only thing is that we need to ask you a little contribution for the editing process, but we will more or less sponsor that process with 2/3 of the cost. So you will be asked to pay 1/3. Apart from that, that's for all of the papers and all of the, so everyone will have a book chapter basically. We will during these 2 days pre-select about 10 of your papers that can go into a book with the selected papers, also published by Springer in the next year. And then we've got 2 special issues of the SASBE journal, and also your papers and your presentations will be pre-selected for one of those. One is more oriented on the technological issues, and the other special issue on planning and design. So that's the publication options that come out of this conference. And for those of you who were here yesterday, you already tasted the food. I thought it was quite nice actually. We have conference dinner tonight. If you haven't registered for this, you can still do that. Please go to the registration desk. It's $100 for 3-course menu and drinks included. So if you want to join the conference dinner, please go and register. And then the last thing I would like to say to you as a welcome, we've got 3 technical tours on Friday morning. One is taking the ferry and go to Parramatta over the water, and you will be led through the history and also a little bit of the future, how Sydney has developed over the years, and you will see new developments in the western part of Sydney. There will be a tour in the Jean Nouvel building in Central Park. Basically, you go downstairs in the basement and look at how the water is purified. Well, the system, you don't see the water, you don't see any water at all. But you can see how the system is functioning down there, and purifying the water not only of that whole building, but of the neighborhood around it as well. And the third tour is a tour in the, as we call it, the paperback building, the Frank Gehry building, just down the road, where the business school of UTS is. So, my last slide is about thanks. Thank you all for being here. Take the effort to be here, to travel here, to write your abstract, to write your paper, to look at the comments of reviewers and say, well, what do I need to do with it? Anyway, that whole process, you made it. Thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing your research and exchanging your research with each other. We're a relatively small group, and I think that's great because we can actually talk to everyone. Big conferences, you can talk to a small group, but now you can talk to everyone. I would like to thank the reviewers because they did quite a lot of work reviewing your papers, your work, sometimes under really time constraints. Well, it goes for you as well. But, they did a great job. and without them, we wouldn't have a peer review process as we have. So I think that's just great. And there's one thing I really want to acknowledge today, and that's Stuart. Go on, Stuart. Please come to me. You all. So they already clapped, it's fantastic. Without Stuart, we wouldn't have a conference probably. He did by far most of the work in the last couple of months. You probably have been in contact with him throughout, getting very, very polite emails, even if the message was not that polite. So thank you very much, Stuart, for all your work, and it was great working with you. And yeah, you did a great job. Thank you very much.